guarantee that if you watch this video from start to finish, you will go from a complete beginner to an expert in Amazon wholesale. My name is Brad. I've spent the last 5 years building a 7-figure Amazon business, and when I first started learning how to sell on Amazon, I had to jump around to countless videos and articles to try to piece information together. I don't want you to have to go through the same thing. I'm going to do my best to get rid of all the guesswork that I did when I first started and give you exactly what you need in one place. If you watch this entire video, I truly believe you will never need to watch another video on YouTube to learn Amazon wholesale. We're going to cover everything from how to set up your wholesale business to finding profitable suppliers and exactly how to contact them. Whether you're just getting started or you're already selling on Amazon with a business model like retail or online arbitrage, I'm going to show you that Amazon wholesale, it's not just for sellers that have years of experience. Actually, you can do it even as a complete beginner. And make sure you stick around until the end of the video because I'm even going to give away a live call of me closing the most profitable type of wholesale account, a brand direct exclusive. In case you did want to jump around the video, I got you. Here are the timestamps for each section. Just keep in mind that in Amazon wholesale, each step builds on the previous one. So if you don't have all the pieces from the first part, you might not understand the next. Let's dive into it. So what is Amazon FBA wholesale? First off, FBA stands for Fulfillment by Amazon, and it's the process by which you send your inventory in bulk into Amazon, and Amazon then picks, packs, and ships your orders when customers purchase from your Amazon store. Your entire business is going to run through Amazon Seller Central. On Amazon Seller Central, you'll be able to list, price, and ship your products into Amazon. Now, I'm not going to go into all of the details of Amazon Seller Central because this video is to focus on Amazon wholesale. That being said, you'll still definitely want to watch this video from start to finish because it's going to give all kinds of beginner information, such as how to ship your products into Amazon and exactly how to analyze your first profitable wholesale product. So this video is going to be 100% focused on wholesale, but let's do a quick 60-second comparison of the 3 main business models on Amazon in order to get a full understanding of what the wholesale business is all about. Amazon wholesale is where you're purchasing name brand products in bulk from either an authorized distributor or the brand directly. These are products that customers shopping on Amazon already know, like, and trust. So you don't have to do any marketing, manufacturing, or R&D. This differs from a business model like private label, where you have to create your own brand and bring a new product to market. Not only is this risky, but it also requires more capital. So I definitely wouldn't recommend it for a beginner. With Amazon wholesale, you simply have to find name brand products that are already selling well, and then reorder these products from your wholesale supplier every single month as you sell through the inventory. This differs from the third business model that I started with, retail or online arbitrage. With retail arbitrage, you're going into physical stores like Walmart or Target, scanning the products on the shelf, packaging them up, and then sending them into Amazon. Online arbitrage is the same exact thing, except you're actually buying the products from the store's website online. The challenge with this business model is that you have to constantly be on the hunt for inventory. Don't get me wrong, retail and online arbitrage are fun and attractive, and you can definitely make money quickly doing them. I was once in the position where you might be right now, which is currently doing retail or online arbitrage, but unsure of if you should pivot to wholesale. And looking back on it, it was the best decision that I ever made. The biggest difference with wholesale and why it's better is that it focuses on economies of scale. So with wholesale, you are actually purchasing replenishable products over and over again. Instead of having to constantly be on the hunt to find new products with retail and online arbitrage, with Amazon Wholesale, you put in all the work up front to get your wholesale accounts and you focus on building the relationship with either the brand or an authorized distributor. And once you've built that relationship up, you can continue to reorder these products over and over again from your wholesale supplier. Now that we know what Amazon Wholesale is, let's talk about exactly what you'll need to get started. So there's a couple basic things that you'll need, like Amazon Seller Central, a business credit card, and a business bank account. But I really want to focus this section on the 3 must-haves for Amazon Wholesale. The first thing that you will absolutely need to start Amazon Wholesale is a business EIN. A business EIN is simple to get and it's free, and you're going to get one on the IRS website. A business EIN is going to show legitimacy to your wholesale suppliers. So when you first go to sign up for a wholesale account with these suppliers, they're going to ask you for what your business EIN is. Not only is a business EIN necessary for securing a wholesale account, but it's also necessary for tax reporting purposes. The second thing that you'll need to get started with wholesale is a resale certificate. A resale certificate is interchangeable with the terms sales and use tax permit, business license, and tax exempt certificate. This document is probably going to cost you anywhere between $5 and $100 depending on the state that you live in. So a business license is necessary for 2 main reasons. Number 1, is that it is going to show legitimacy and professionalism to your wholesale suppliers. In addition to your business EIN, your wholesale suppliers are going to ask you for your sales and use tax number. So it's going to help you secure your first wholesale account. The second reason a resale certificate is necessary is that it allows you to purchase your goods tax exempt from your wholesale supplier. So you definitely don't want to be paying tax on the goods that you purchase. This is thrown out money. And the reason for that is because Amazon collects and remits sales tax on your behalf when your goods sell to the customer. So if you were to pay tax on the goods that you purchased, they would be double taxed. To obtain this document, just Google State Resale Certificate, go to your state's website, and fill out the necessary paperwork. The third requirement for Amazon Wholesale is a professional email domain. This is probably going to cost you anywhere between $100 and $150 to get set up. This is super important because you're going to come across as way more professional and legitimate to the wholesale supplier that you're reaching out to. You don't want to be that guy contacting from hockeyplayer1234@gmail.com. Here are some examples of professional email domains. A common question that I get asked is, do you need a website to start Amazon Wholesale? And the answer is no, but it's nice to have. A website shows legitimacy, and if you are going to have one, you'll want to choose between 2 different types of websites. First, you have your Amazon Services and Marketing website, which is what I use, and then you have your industry-specific or Shopify website. And let me explain the difference between both. An Amazon Marketing website is going to show you the potential services that you can provide to the brand directly. It's also not going to limit you by product category. So with a Shopify website, you're actually going to have products listed on the site with an add to cart feature. Just remember that if you are using a website like this, you'll want to make it in a specific industry. And the reason for that is because in Amazon Wholesale, you could be reaching out to brands in multiple different industries. So let's say you're reaching out to a brand in the health and natural food category. You'll want to have a website backing that up with all different products in the health and natural food space. This will work to your advantage in securing an account with that brand. Now, this can also go the other way too, because if you're reaching out to, say, an automotive company, you won't want to show them a website that isn't in their same industry. So if you have an industry-specific website that carries health and natural food products like this, you'll want to reach out to a brand in that same industry because it may give you more leverage in securing a spot as an Amazon reseller. If you're just starting out, I would recommend going with the Amazon Marketing website. This is because it doesn't limit you by product category and you can source in all different industries. This is exactly what I've done to scale my business to 7 figures. Just remember that building a relationship with your wholesale supplier is the most important thing. Guys, if you don't build a relationship with your wholesale supplier, a website isn't going to mean anything. It's just going to be another thing around the business. Focus your attention on building those relationships. Let's talk about software. Selling on Amazon is all about making the best decisions possible with the information that we are given. There are tons of different softwares out there in selling on Amazon. I'm here to tell you that you really only need 3 softwares to start. Amazon Seller Central, which is going to cost you about $40 per month. Amazon's Revenue Calculator, which is free and built in with Amazon Seller Central. And Keepa, which is going to cost you about $20 per month. A few honorable mentions are Seller Amp Profit Calculator, which allows you to see your profit and return on investment for a particular product. Listing and shipping softwares like Inventory Lab or Boxem, which will allow you to streamline your process of shipping into Amazon's warehouse. Although I have to say, Amazon Seller Central works just fine in many cases. Seller Board to track the profitability of your business, and an automatic repricer like Aura, allowing you to constantly stay competitive on your price. These softwares are great to have, but I want to reiterate again that you only need 3 softwares when you're just starting: Amazon Seller Central, Keepa, and Amazon's Revenue Calculator. Let's dive into part 2, where I'm going to walk you through step by step of how to find your first profitable wholesale supplier.
All right, welcome to part 2 of the video where we are going to learn how to source brands. In this segment, we are going to cover 3 key ways to source. Number 1 is reverse category sourcing, where we're going to focus on niching down further and further into different subcategories. Number 2 is storefront stalking. So we're going to look at other sellers' stores to potentially find brands to work with. And number 3, we're going to touch on SmartScout. The first 2 sourcing methods are going to be the focus of this segment of the video, because even if you're a complete beginner, I want you to have 2 tools that you can utilize in order to source brands and source them profitably. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to start on Amazon. And the first thing I want to do is pick a category, right? And there's so many categories on Amazon. This might seem overwhelming, but you can go over here to the sidebar here and, look at different product categories. You can also go ahead and click on the drop down here, and I can click any category I want, right? Let's say we're in, the holiday season. It's Black Friday weekend. I'm sourcing. There's many, many different categories that I can choose from. But what's a category that I like for this time of the year is arts, crafts, and sewing. It's also somewhat of a niche category. It's not as big of a category as some of the other categories like health and household, or home and kitchen. So I'm going to go ahead and hit search here. And really, the focus right now is to just find a subcategory and then find another subcategory and continue to go down further and further. And the reason for that is because when you search a main category like this on Amazon, Amazon is going to bombard you with the best selling products, the big name brands, and the brands that Amazon is selling. Right? We don't want to touch any of that. We want to find those smaller to medium sized brands that we could potentially position our company in a way that's going to provide value to them. The only way we can do that is reducing the size of revenue that we're actually sourcing. And SmartScout has a great feature to use here, and we'll get into that in just a little while. But the focus right now is just to go right on Amazon and see what we can find. So I'm not going to search by brand. Essentially, what I'm going to do is I'm going to scroll through here, and I'm actually going to look to find a subcategory first. So we're in arts, crafts, and sewing. Let's see where do we want to go next, right? Let's pick sewing products. Let's see what's in sewing products. So I'm now in sewing products, and again, big name brands, Brother, really well selling products right on the first page. And what we need to do essentially, guys, is we need to scroll through this, and there's no 2 ways around it. This is a tedious process, right? Sourcing, especially in the beginning when you first start out selling on Amazon, you're going to have a hard time sourcing brands, but eventually it's going to multiply and you're going to be able to do it really well, really quickly. So I'm going to just bypass through the first page here because we know it's all big name brands. I'm going to go all the way to the bottom here. I'm just going to jump to page 3. So again, the focus of what I'm looking at here is I'm looking to see multiple resellers on the listing. And if you guys are not familiar with this Chrome extension here, it's called DSAMZ Quick View, and it's free, and it is able to show you all this information. I also have a Jungle Scout Chrome extension here installed, so definitely can save you some time there, right? So this is going to populate, and we're just going to keep scrolling here, right? So I'm seeing a lot of one FBA sellers, and we're not targeting products and brands that have one seller on them because they're probably private label products. Maybe they're exclusive agreements, right? Maybe they're Amazon. So we have to just keep digging further and further and see what we can find. So I'm here on the 200th right segment of the catalog. I can also filter this down by price. Now you'll see this goes all the way up to $7,000, which is a super high price product, but we do not. And when I source, I actually focus on higher selling price products. And that's because it allows me to scale my business faster. I can carry less SKUs than the next guy who's, carrying hundreds upon hundreds of SKUs. And I can scale my business faster because I focus on higher average selling prices. And that honestly is the way to do it in Amazon Wholesale, in my opinion. So I'm going to go up here, right? And I'm going to target a selling price of at least, let's say at least $50, right? And chances are we're not going to find a product selling for $7,000. So that would be a super high ASP, but that's going to at least narrow down our search a bit. And so, the first thing I'm seeing here, right, is a product here. It's a sewing machine. It's a super high average selling price of $1,700. It's actually somewhat attractive to me. So the first thing I'm looking at here is I'm looking at the number of sellers that are on the listing. And for this particular Janome product, it looks like there's about 18 sellers. So something that might be of interest. Again, another product here with 8 sellers on it. Something, again, might be of interest. Let's keep scrolling and see if there's anything else. 4 sellers on this item here. And now we might be starting to find some different products here. So I'm going to give you guys a good example, right? Brother is a very big name brand, and Brother's an example of a brand that you might be able to source from a distributor. You would never be able to get a brand direct account with Brother because they're going to have either a super high minimum order quantity that you need to purchase from them, or they're only going to work with you if you're a brick and mortar store or a sewing shop of some kind, right? So Brother, we might be able to work with a distributor, which is going to lower the barrier to entry. But bear in mind, it's a big brand, so we have less control. We're not going to be able to pitch them value or get exclusivity, or, we might be competing with Amazon down the road. Even if we're not today, Amazon might pop up out of nowhere. But that's just kind of the risk that you run when you sell bigger name brands from distributors. Not saying you can't make money doing it, but we're going to target smaller to medium-sized brands today. So here's a product and a brand that's, a nice consistent selling price here. Looks like $70. So I'm seeing a few things here now, and I'm going to start clicking on some things as I'm scrolling. So I'm going to jump back up here. Let's see, to that product that I was looking at before, and I'm bypassing anything that says number of sellers 1. I'm just not even paying attention to it because it's like we said, it's a private label product of some kind or an exclusive seller. So I'm going to open that up in a new tab. I'm going to open this one up in a new tab. This one Amazon is selling, which we can see from the yellow chart here. And if you guys are not familiar with what this chart is, it's Keepa. I have a full tutorial breakdown of a Keepa chart on my channel. If you're interested, I'll link it up above for you to check out. We're going to keep scrolling here. So we've now found a couple products. Let's open them up and see what they're all about. And the first thing I'm seeing here is a product with some FBA sellers on it. And it's fairly, consistent in terms of sales volume. It looks like it does decent for the holiday season in terms of sales volume. So I'll take a quick glance at the Keepa chart, and then I'm going to look and just make sure that there's other FBA sellers on the listing. And there in fact is, right? So now I'm seeing other FBA sellers. I'm seeing, Keepa chart product sells. Price is a little bit inconsistent, but that doesn't, just because, we're sourcing it doesn't mean we're buying it, right? We still have to get a price list from that brand. So the listing, another thing that you want to look at here is the listing itself. And from what I'm seeing, the images are pretty good. They have decent images. They have a video. Let's see if they have something called A plus content, which they don't. They just have, an incomplete brand story, which is right here. And it's really not that aesthetic. So in this section is A plus brand content. It's a way that you can pitch a brand on providing value to them. And we'll get into that in the next segment of this video. But right here is an example of a brand that I would source, right? So the first thing I'm going to do now, since I've identified a brand, is I'm actually going to add it to my spreadsheet, which is right here. So I'm going to link the Amazon link. I'm going to grab that in the URL. And notice how I'm only grabbing up to the ASIN because I don't need any of this other stuff after it. It's going to just clutter my list here. And I'm going to copy and paste the product name and the brand name, right? Because if I call the company, they don't answer, and then they call me back after I leave a message, I want to be able to control find and search for this brand name, right? So if I only have the product listed, I might not be able to find Eversewn, right? If I have Eversewn, then if they say this is Eversewn when they call me back, well, I'll be able to control find those keywords in my spreadsheet and pull up their listing, so I have everything in front of me ready to go for the pitch. So this is what we have here. And the next thing I'm going to do now is I'm actually going to search Google for Eversewn, the brand name. And let's see if we can find their website, which is right here. I'm going to jump now to their website and I'm going to look for a contact. So a lot of times once I'm on the website, I'll just Control F the word contact. And from here, they will most likely have some sort of contact information. It does say contact here. It looks like it lists an email. I'm going to grab the email just because it's right in front of me, but I really want to get a phone number and let's see if they have it. They may not. There's a lot of brands that don't list their phone number, in which case you have to send an email. So let's see if we hit support, contact, and here's their phone number. So again, you have to do a couple clicks. They might not make their phone number available right away. So that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to copy that phone number here. I'm going to paste it into the phone number sheet, and then I'm going to go ahead and put the link to the website here. Pop that link in there, and now we have our first lead. So this is a good lead, guys. It's got a good, solid selling price of $70. It's not a $1 million product by any means. It's selling 100 plus units a month, but hey, that's decent sales volume for a product. Think about if you had 10 or 20 of these different products, right? And that's what wholesale is all about, guys. So this is a brand that we could potentially reach out to secure a wholesale account. And then if we're met with resistance from them, we can actually provide value. And that's what we're going to cover in the next segment of the video, is how to pitch brands and contact them and provide that value. But the reason I know we can provide value here is because their listing is not too optimized, right? And their price is inconsistent. So there's a number of different signs here that are telling me that we could provide value to this brand, right? Now that we've identified, one product, we have one product here, we're just going to keep rinsing and repeating this process. So I can literally just scroll down here. There's many different approaches that I can take next. I can go to this, right? And I can go and see the top 100 products in the arts and crafts category and scroll through here and click on one of these and niche down further and further and further. I can also take another approach where I go straight into the subcategory here, which is sewing project kits. And then again, we're in a subcategory already, so I'll just keep scrolling through further. And the main thing I'm looking for is the number of offers, right? I want multiple different resellers on that listing, not one, and I don't want Amazon on the listing either. So those are two approaches you can take, which are great approaches, finding different product categories and going further into the rabbit hole. But what I want to focus on is the second sourcing method in this video, which has been the bread and butter of my business over the years, which is storefront stalking. So now that we've found a potential product of interest, right, we can reach out to the brand and contact them, but the process doesn't end there, right? We can actually look at the other seller stores that are selling this product. And I'll just open up a couple here so my tabs don't run too slow. And I'm actually going to click and open up their stores here. And I'm going to see what kinds of products they have. And now if they're an industry specific store, meaning they only sell in this niche, I'm probably going to bypass it because that might mean I might have more resistance when I go to contact these brands because they might only want industry specific sellers. And so it looks like this store might have some opportunity, but they are more so an industry specific store. So we could potentially scroll through this store and find products. I'm not saying we can't, but for our best use of time, I would probably say I'm going to jump to another store and see what else is out there. Just because, in an industry specific store, there might be more resistance from the suppliers and brands we reach out to. So I'm going to close them out and I'm going to jump to this next store that we opened up here. Again, sort of an arts and crafts type store. Let's see. And you guys, just so you know, you can do the same thing with that URL. So if I click here on the second page and I want to go deeper into this seller store, I can actually, jump up here maybe to page 8 or 10 and just keep going deeper in the seller store. The other thing I'm seeing with this seller is that their prices are super low. So I'm not going to be able to compete on anything selling for $4 or below. So I'm not even going to bother with that. So I'm going to jump to the next store here. Let's see what they have. MI shopping deals. I'm going to go ahead and click on this. And I'm just going to scroll through here, right? See what they have just at an initial glance. Again, kind of an arts and crafts type store. Some other products too. And this is really what the process looks, guys. It's just continuously scrolling through and seeing what we can find. Again, we are in the holiday season, so I'll go ahead and just check that out. Or in the Christmas season, could be something there, you know. And this product actually sells super well. It looks like from an initial glance, the Keep It chart. Just gonna open that up. So, this doesn't look like a bad store. They do seem to be a little bit industry specific, but that doesn't mean we can't find profitable products and opportunity here in the store. So let's see. Right now, I'm gonna actually go jump up here on this product. It's a seasonal item. I'm gonna jump up to the URL here, and I'm gonna get rid of everything after that ASIN. That way, I can get a clear look at the listing and see at all the different sellers that are selling it. Right. So it does look like the brand is selling it, Elf Easy. So they are much more competitive too than these other sellers, but this other guy does have stock. So this is kind of an iffy one. I probably would avoid it because Elf Easy is priced, $10 below the other seller, and we're never going to be able to compete with the brand. And who knows if they even are going to sell to us. So we could add this company to our list, but again, it might not be the best use of time, but you just don't know if you don't contact. So it can't hurt to add it to the list and contact. And really all I would do here is, again, repeat that process, search on Google, find the contact information, put it in the spreadsheet, and continue down the rabbit hole. Same deal here. I'll jump up to the URL and I will get rid of all of that and search it and see what we can find here. So it looks like there's about 14 sellers on this listing. So, there are FBA sellers on the listing and the product is selling super, super well. So this is another example of a product that I would add to the list. I don't see why not. It sells really well. It's got a 3-digit rank in arts and crafts. So this is the process of exactly what we would do. And as we are finding these different products, we're getting these storefronts that are on the listings, and you can actually jump to your Excel spreadsheet here and you can make a new tab called storefronts, and you can actually put the storefront name along with the link to that storefront. So we left off sourcing, what was it? MI shopping deals. So literally all I'm going to do is I'm going to put the storefront name, MI shopping deals, and I'm going to put the link to that store right here. And boom, we have our first storefront, and we'll just continue to add to this list, guys. It's the more time you spend doing this, the better you're going to get at it, the more you're going to go down the rabbit hole, and the more brands you're going to find to work with. We're going after those niche brands, obscure type brands, small to medium sized. And we do that through reverse category sourcing on Amazon, which I just showed you, and storefront stalking, which was the second method. Finally, I just want to quickly jump into SmartScout. And if you don't have SmartScout, you can watch this just so that you know how to do it in the future, or you can go ahead and sign up for SmartScout. But I don't want you to think that SmartScout is an absolute must-have. That's why I gave you 2 completely free sourcing methods that are very, very good to find wholesale suppliers, particularly brands to work with. Now, I do have SmartScout up here. So in SmartScout, you have to one thing I want you to understand is that the principle of SmartScout is the exact same thing of what we just did with the reverse category sourcing, et cetera, right? The benefit of SmartScout is that instead of spending the time combing through those different categories, SmartScout has already pre-vetted. So we can actually search and filter our SmartScout search by a certain monthly net revenue range. So by doing that, now we're preemptively targeting those smaller to medium-sized brands. So my target revenue range is anywhere between 20,000 and 250,000 in monthly revenue. That gives me a wide enough range between small and medium size to find profitable brands and brands that I can provide value to when I go to pitch them, right? I'm looking for at least an average selling price of $9. But again, if you want to target higher average selling prices, raise it to 50, and then of course we want to have at least 2 sellers on the listing. And I'm going to go ahead and hit search, right? So I pre-vetted this list with a minimum average selling price of $50, targeting a monthly revenue range of 20,000 to 250,000. And SmartScout has given us a list of tons and tons of products, over 1,000. So we have so much to source through here. And this is literally what you're doing, guys. In SmartScout, you're doing the exact same thing you would be doing on Amazon, except here you now have data to read before actually, diving into it, right? So we have the brand, we have the primary category, we have the subcategory. It tells us how many sellers are on the listing, if Amazon is in or out of stock, and if so, what percentage of the time they're in and out of stock, average selling price, so the whole works, right? All the information here. And, I can click on any of these products, right? I can click on this. I can click on, which actually had a super high average selling price of $600, which is quite convenient for our model here, which we're targeting higher average selling prices. Another one with 136 price. And guys, I'm already finding tons of different potential brands that we could work with, like with good average selling prices. So, that's literally the process, is going through this list and continuing to vet and source. I'm going to close out of a couple of these tabs so that we can keep running smoothly. But again, we just found a few potential brands that we could reach out to. So from here, we would open it up and see what's going on, right? Is there multiple sellers selling it, which it looks like there are. I would then probably click on this again to see of those sellers, are they brand, which it looks like they are, so again, I maybe close that out, jump back here. And again, I would just continue to scroll, guys. Here's another one, Swedish Dream Salt, 1,000 units bought in the past month, 5 sellers, average number of sellers on it. And the listing itself does not look to be well optimized. That's the first thing I'm noticing here, is that they don't really have any sort of listing optimization or imagery, bullet points. Do they have A+ content? No, they do not. They have a few sentences in the product description. So again, this is a perfect example of a brand that I would reach out to. Price is kind of up and down. There's a lot of value you could potentially provide here to the brand. So again, all I'm doing is I'm searching Google now for the brand's website to then put them in my contact sheet and find them. And that's the process of sourcing, guys. It's, a little bit of a tedious process, but once you get this model down, you will find how quickly it multiplies. And what I would recommend for how to do it is spend your nights and weekends doing this. So spend maybe 2 hours every night, or, a couple hours on the weekend, and source brands and get good at this process. Get good at identifying brands that might be of interest. Is there sales volume? Is there listing optimization or lack thereof? Because we're going to use all that in the value pitch, right? So that's the biggest thing, is spending time doing the sourcing process, because it's less time you're going to have to take later on when you go to outreach to them, because you're going to be finding winning brands, right? These are brands, when you go to reach out to them, they might not know how to handle Amazon. And that's where you're going to come in with the value pitch, or they're just going to give you an account right away. So that's what we get when we target smaller to medium-sized brands. But the only way to have a full understanding of how to do it is to take the process that I just showed you and do it and multiply it over and over again. So That is it for this segment of the video. Let's dive into the outreach section.
Now that we've found a few target brands, let's dive into part 3 where we're going to learn exactly how to contact them. The first thing we want to focus on is developing an outreach strategy and determine if we are contacting a brand or a distributor. A brand is the rights owner and manufacturer of the product. They maintain a vested interest in the brand. A distributor is a B2B business that maintains an already existing relationship with the brand, and they purchase inventory from the brand and then sell the inventory to retailers or e-tailers like you and I. Getting a price list is our number one priority. A price list gets our foot in the door with the brand or distributor. A price list is a list of all the products that the brand carries, which we will analyze in the next part of this video. Our number one priority has to be getting our foot in the door with a profitable purchase. Here's a basic script of what you'll want to say. Dial the brand and they pick up. Yes, hi, my name is Brad. I'm calling with my company. I was calling because we were interested in opening a wholesale account. Am I speaking with the right person for that?
Yeah, this is the right person.
Perfect. Would you like for me to tell you a little bit more about our company?
Yeah, that's fine. No problem.
So we're an e-commerce company. We stock and ship to our facility located in. We have our own website and we do sell on Amazon. Do you mind if I ask a little bit more about how your company is handling the e-commerce space? Boom. That's it. Now your supplier's response is going to be one of 3 answers. Yes, no, maybe. The rest of the call will be based on not just which of those 3 responses your supplier gives, it will be based on how they say their response. One of the primary reasons that we make phone calls to wholesale suppliers is so that we can hear the tonality on the other end of the phone and gauge the degree to which we can persuade them to work with our company. Let's run through each possible answer. Yes. If the supplier says yes, we are going to waste no time and get our hands on a price list. Please do not oversell if you don't have to. Get the price list, make a purchase, and start the relationship, and then worry about pitching exclusivity later on. No. If the supplier says no, or they're asking you for things like a brick and mortar store or a physical license, this is something that's not going to be worth the squeeze. I would recommend focusing your attention on working with suppliers that are either receptive to working with you as an e-commerce business or a supplier that you can actually persuade to work with you. These hard no's are not going to be worth your time. Unsure. These are the suppliers that we close. This is because these suppliers are unsure of their direction when it comes to handling Amazon. Because with brands, we are positioning ourselves as a strategic partner, we are providing a value and a service that all of the other resellers reaching out to them are not providing. So if they're a target brand and they're unsure in how they're handling the Amazon platform, it's a go. For example, the brand says,
Yeah, I'm sorry. We're just not taking commerce sellers. We already have some sellers that we're working with, and we're really just not looking to take on anyone else at this point.
Stop. Before you respond, pick up on the brand's tonality. Their words say no, but their tone says otherwise. We're going to handle this in a 4-step approach. First, validate their position. Your response should be something like this. Completely understand that. Limiting the number of Amazon resellers makes perfect sense. Number 2, social proof. We encourage many of our existing brand partners to do the same thing. It serves no strategic advantage to you as the brand owner to sell to a multitude of resellers. Number 3, calibrated question. So Jeff, I did a search for your branded keywords on Amazon, and from what I'm seeing, there's a number of different competitors and even knockoffs that are running advertisements on your listings. Have you or any of the existing Amazon resellers used Amazon ads as a means of protecting the long-standing brand equity that you've built for your company? Number 4, value proposition. So a lot of times what we'll do with Amazon ads is we focus ads as a means of brand protection. So our main priority in working with our brand partners is to secure as much digital real estate as possible. What that accomplishes is not just an increase in sales volume, but it also makes your brand equity the focus. So now we're defending your brand from competitors or even knockoffs that may alternatively, if you didn't have that digital real estate, be advertising against your brand. This is just one example of a value proposition you can offer a brand on Amazon. I chose Amazon PPC, but there are tons of ways you can provide value to a brand. Listing optimization, where you can improve their product imagery, videography, add in SEO in the title and bullet points, and incorporate things like A+ brand content into their listings. There's also Amazon Brand Registry, where you can secure and protect the brand's presence on Amazon, and you can help them control their resellers with minimum advertised price enforcement and distribution control. The abbreviation for minimum advertised price is MAP, and it's a set price that all of the resellers have to sell at on Amazon or other marketplaces. This preserves profit margin and it protects the brand equity. Guys, the most important thing is helping brands understand that you are targeting a vision. Examples of targeting a vision are increasing brand equity, increasing customer loyalty, and price stabilization. The value proposition helps you accomplish a greater vision for the brand. And it now takes Amazon, which was a platform that previously gave them all kinds of headaches, and helps that platform now provide value to their business. When you approach this with empathy and understanding, you will win. Instead of focusing on the pitch itself or the transactions, start being empathetic to the rejection that you are facing. Money doesn't always solve brands' problems. Now, if you're reaching out to a distributor, you'll need to take a little bit of a different approach. There are three main things that we want to focus on when we're reaching out to a distributor. Number one is legitimacy. You have to present yourself as an e-commerce company and not just an Amazon seller. I see new sellers do this all the time where they call themselves Amazon sellers, and whether you're reaching out to brands or distributors, show the distributor that you're an e-commerce company and that you're focused on stocking their inventory. This is different from drop shipping. The distributor is not your warehouse, and they don't want to ship out onesie-twosie orders for you if you're going to drop ship from them. If you go to that distributor with a purchase order in hand and show them that you are going to carry their inventory, they're going to be much more inclined to work with you. Also, make sure to give them a location in the first couple opening sentences of reaching out to them, because it's going to further reinforce that you're a legitimate business. Number two, long-term customer. Distributors want to work with long-term and serious buyers. One of the biggest problems is that distributors are always dealing with Amazon sellers that are in, place a small order here and there, and then they're out. You want to be that serious and large buyer, and another great way to incentivize that distributor is actually by prepaying for your inventory through an ACH wire. We'll talk more about how to pay your supplier later, but a prepayment is a great way to start a relationship. Number three, show them that you are a serious and large buyer. Money talks, and it will get your price down. After the first order, the price is never the price. So there's nothing wrong with starting a relationship with the distributor and placing that test order to mitigate risk. But after you do that, the larger the buyer you are, it's going to give you more leverage in the relationship with your distributor. Now that we've learned how to contact both brands and distributors, we've probably secured a price list or two at this point. The focus of the next section is going to be how to analyze profitable products. When we analyze products, the three primary metrics we are looking at are profitability per unit, and we want to make sure that we're making at least $2 per unit. ROI, which stands for return on investment. This is a measurement between the amount of money that you make on a product relative to how much you spend on that item. And you'll want to keep that between the target of 20 and 30%. Number three, sales volume. This is where we're going to use Keepa to analyze the sales data over a historical period of time. Let's dive into part 4, where we're going to analyze our first price list and get ready to place our first wholesale order.
All right, everyone. Welcome to part 4 of Amazon Wholesale in 2025. In this part, we are going to go through a price list. Now, I'm not going to have the actual price list in front of me because I'm actually going to build on the example that we used in the sourcing section of this video. And you guys can see that I have my wholesale supplier contact sheet right here on the screen. And we left off with the Eversone product. So this particular item here, the one that we were looking at, and again, not a crazy selling product by any stretch of the imagination. However, it is doing a lot better for the holiday season, and the product is consistent. It sells over 100 units a month year round, pretty much. And this is an example of a product that we could add to our inventory simply by reaching out to the brand and opening a wholesale account. The power of wholesale and the economies of scale is when you start to get 10 of these products or 20 or 50 of these products, and now your business really starts to scale. So in this section of the video, we've already sourced this product, we've reached out to the brand and developed an outreach strategy, and we've been able to successfully close the wholesale account. And what that means is that the brand is now going to give us a sheet of paper. They're going to send it to us in an email with the actual products that the brand sells. So that's this product. It could be other products here. And we can look at that too. So we can jump and click on the brand name and we can see what other products they sell. So potentially these are selling machines that we might be able to buy from the brand if, of course, we determine that they sell well on Amazon. For now, we're going to focus on this one product here. And we're going to essentially, because I don't have an actual price list in front of me, I didn't actually reach out to this brand. So we'll end up just making up a cost of goods sold for this item. That being said, we are going to go through every single step of the price list analysis process. And then once we complete this, we're actually going to add this ASIN into our inventory in Seller Central before we place our first test order. And the reason for that is just to make sure that the item can be added to our inventory, because I've been there before where I've placed an order with a brand or a distributor and I didn't do the proper due diligence by adding the item, adding that ASIN into my Amazon selling account catalog. And what happened was that the ASIN was actually gated, or it had a generic brand name and it did not allow me to list that item. So before making a purchase on any items, you'll always want to add them into your Seller Central inventory first. But for now, the first step of this process is we're going to jump into a spreadsheet here. So I have a spreadsheet here, which is the Eversone product analysis. And guys, one thing I want to point out is that when you are going through a brand's price list, chances are that the brand doesn't have massive amounts of ASINs like a distributor might. When you work with distributors, they could potentially be carrying thousands of different SKUs. So if you were to get a distributor's catalog with thousands of different ASINs in it, you are going to have to run through that catalog in a software, something like Scan Unlimited, where you can automatically punch in and upload the UPC codes into the software and it will generate a profit analysis for the products. But when we have a brand's catalog and price sheet, a lot of times there's only a few different ASINs. So in this case, there's maybe a few different ASINs, as we saw on the Amazon that they carry, maybe a dozen different SKUs. But we're just going to target this one SKU right now. In a preliminary search, it looked like it was the only one that sold well. So one item, and if there are multiple items in the brand's catalog, you're just going to repeat this exact process for those different items. So the first thing we're going to do here is we're going to put the product description or the name. You're going to have the ASIN here, and then you're going to have the item number or UPC, which you're going to obtain this information directly from the brand's price sheet. This item number will be useful when you go to place your purchase order with this brand, because they need some type of an identifier to know what products you're ordering. And there's no reason to give them the ASIN because that doesn't really mean anything to them. That's for your reference. But when you go to make your purchase order, you will specify the product description, you'll specify the item number, the cost of each item, whether there's a case pack quantity of, let's say 12 or 24, the amount of cases that you're ordering, the total unit count, and the total cost. You'll then also specify on that PO a bill to address and a ship to address. If they're both the same, then they're going to, you can just put bill to and ship to at the same address, and you're going to send that PO to the brand. Now, if they ship directly to Amazon, you'll also send them the shipping labels along with that PO. But a lot of times when I first start a relationship with the brand, I won't ask them to ship directly to Amazon right away, just in case they have any sticking points around that. So rather, I'll focus on, hey, let's just get our hands on the inventory. I'll have it shipped to our warehouse. If you're just starting, it's going to be at your house. You have it shipped to your house, and there's no problem with that. Brands don't have to know that they're shipping to your house. And if they ever ask you, they're probably not even going to care. I've had many brands shipped to my house. We were shipping out of the house for years. So not a big deal at all. You do not need a warehouse to start Amazon Wholesale. And then you're going to package those items up, send the seller central shipment into Amazon. And that's going to be a couple steps down into this process. So right now we're just analyzing profit, sales volume, and return on investment. So product, ASIN, item number UPC, cost, and I might actually want to specify the case pack quantity. Let's say that's case pack of 12 items in a box, going to be useful, like I said, when we place that purchase order. Case pack cost we're going to have actually here, which is new by Amazon as of this year, 2024, is inbound fee. So their inbound placement fee, and then shipping, which is per unit, and inbound fee, of course, is also per unit. And profit, return on investment, we're going to say about the average sales, sales rank. And then from there, we're going to get the sales per month on average. And then from here, we're going to be able to generate the monthly profit estimate. And that's going to be our analysis. Now, this is an analysis that you can use to take a look at and make an informed purchase decision. That being said, when you actually go to place that order, which we'll talk about in the next segment, you are always going to place a test order no matter what this monthly sales volume is. So test order consists of anywhere between 20 and 30 units, and we'll get to that shortly. So the product name here is the Eversewn Ultimate Sewing Starter Kit, right? And again, I don't have their price sheet in front of me because I didn't actually contact them, but you could contact them and go after the price sheet if you like. This is just an example that we're doing. So there's a UPC here on Amazon that I'll just use. But again, you're going to want to get that information from the brand's price sheet. So we can get our ASIN here too, copy that, paste it here, and then our cost. Now, I don't have the exact cost, so I'm actually going to back into the cost after we run it through the Amazon revenue calculator. So this brings me to the next segment here, which is we're analyzing for profitability. So there are two main tools you want to use to do this. Now, there are many profit estimating tools out there, many good ones. Honorable mention is SellerAmp, great tool, which you can use, right on Amazon. But this video is, if you're just starting out, maybe you don't have all the tools. And I said earlier on in this video that you only need a couple tools to get started. So we use today, in running our 7-figure business, the Amazon revenue calculator, which is right here. This is a free calculator that is given to you by Amazon Seller Central just for having the Amazon selling account. We also use Inventory Lab as a way of measuring the shipping cost per unit. So we use Inventory Lab. You can use another software like SellerAmp. You also don't have to use a software. If you're not analyzing price lists in a massive volume, you can actually multiply the weight of the item by about 50 cents per pound. Because when we jump to Inventory Lab, you'll see that that's the preset calculation that we have. So if I'm shipping a 1-pound item into Amazon and I'm estimating my shipping cost at about 50 cents per pound, then my shipping cost as an estimate going to be 50 cents. So that's how that's going to work. And you can get that item weight here on Amazon. And that's what Inventory Lab or SellerAmp is pulling. It's actually pulling the weight of the item from the listing. Not actually seeing it on here, but it may not be on the front end, which is visible to customers. It might be in the back end of Amazon, Seller Central. They're automatically pulling that. So we're just going to start out in a basic estimate with the Amazon revenue calculator along with Inventory Lab. So here I have the product ASIN up, and we have it at our list price, and it's estimating our shipping costs at about $1.82, which again is just 50 cents per pound. You can see that here because the item weighs about 3.64 pounds. It's just multiplying that by 50 cents. So we're going to jump back to our sheet here, and we know that the shipping cost per unit is about $1.82. And if I did the 3.64 times 50 cents, it's going to yield me $1.82 in shipping cost. So we jump back to our spreadsheet here, and now we can actually copy that ASIN and then paste it in the revenue calculator, which I've already done here. Click search for the product, and then you paste that here, and it would come up with this. And now the first thing we're going to look at is what is the price that we're going to sell this product for. And you want to make sure you target Amazon fulfillment, not your fulfillment. Your fulfillment is fulfilled by merchant. Amazon fulfillment is fulfilled by Amazon. So 69.36, yes, that's the current price the product is selling for. That being said, we don't know if that's the price that it always sells for. So that's where we have to look at Keepa. And it does look like there's been a price hike in Q4. Products selling much better here. Sales volumes going up, prices also going up. So could be Q4 driven. Now, that being said, I have to estimate this at a more conservative price. So only a few months ago, actually less than a few months ago, the product was selling for $53. So I'm going to go ahead and pay respects down here to Keepa and look at the average selling price. Average selling price is about $59, as we can see in the past 90 days, and $65 in the past 180 days. So I can get a good gauge on this and take a look at the Keepa chart and say, okay, well, in October, it was actually selling at about 53, and now, for the holidays, it's selling for 70. So I'm probably going to go somewhere in that middle of about 59. That being said, if you wanted to run a very conservative estimate, you could go at the lowest price that it's been at over the past 3 months, which is 53. So just to be conservative, let's say we're going to do that, right? We're going to add a column here for sell price, and we're going to put the 53 sell price. So we're selling it at 53, and then our inbound fee, right? So here's the thing about the inbound fee estimate. You always want to estimate this inbound placement fee at the most conservative possible based on where your geographic location is. So I'm located on the East Coast, so I would always estimate this at the minimal shipment split schedule to the East Coast, which is cheaper, of course, than the West Coast. But because I'm on the East Coast, and if the supplier is shipping to my warehouse, I'm most likely sending the shipment to an East Coast FC, unless, of course, it's eligible for Amazon optimized shipments, which we'll explore later on, for a 5-case shipment. And the qualification for shipping Amazon optimized is at least 5 cases. So instead of estimating Amazon optimized, which is going to be a more liberal estimate because we're not taking into account any fees here, we're actually going to estimate it on the minimal shipment split level to the East Coast for me. Now, if you're located on the West Coast, you'll want to select West Coast. But I'm on the East, so I'm going to click East, and it's giving me a placement fee of 37 cents per unit. Now, we have to punch in here in the Amazon revenue calculator. So we're going to put our $1.82 here in the miscellaneous costs, which is going to be our shipping costs. And you can put it up here, but either way, it doesn't matter whether it goes in this box or this. Now, we can see here that if we estimate this at 53, so we can see that $53 sell price, our Amazon fees, which is our referral fee, 15% right off the top in most product categories, our fulfillment fee, our storage costs. And now I am in December when I'm recording this, so I am going to select the Q4 storage fees, which are more expensive than the first 9 months of the year. So it gives me my total cost there, and then it has my costs here. And now we can see that before we've even purchased the item, we are left with $33. So let's say the item cost $24.50. Right, let's just say it costs $24.50. Well, you would put in the actual cost of the item here from the supplier's price sheet, and maybe they have tiers. A lot of suppliers that I work with have tiers, so the more quantity that you order, the lower your price is going to be. But let's say, for example purposes, it's $24.50. So we now have $24.50 is our total cost of goods sold, $24.50. And now we are able to estimate our profit, which is $8.84. And there's nothing more accurate than the Amazon revenue calculator because it's directly pulling all of the data right from Amazon Seller Central. So $8.84 is our profit here. We can punch that in here. And our return on investment is simply our profit divided by how much we paid for the item. And in this case, it's 36%. So this is a great buy, right? We're profiting $8, more than $8, and we're making a 36% return on our investment. And that's good. I would say in wholesale, generally the criteria that we look for is at least a $2 profit per unit and a minimum of about 20 to 25% ROI. Now, as you scale up, you may be able to take a lower return on investment, like 15% as you scale and grow. The reason why we might take a lower ROI at 15% is if the item is going to sell faster meaning we're going to turn our cash quicker, or if the profit per unit is really high. So if we're making like $20, $30 a unit, maybe we can take a 15% ROI. It makes more sense. But this is the general 2 criteria that you're going to look at. So for beginners, I would say target at minimum 20 to 25% ROI and at least $2 profit per unit. And then the average sales rank we're going to grab from Keepa here. And we can see that the average sales rank, let's see here, over the past 90 to 180 days is about 66,000 and 88,000. So I'm actually going to go ahead and get the average of the two. So 66,465 plus 88,298 divided by 2 is actually going to yield me a 77,000 sales rank. And again, it looks like there's a seasonality component here, but I think that's pretty fair to say that it will sell for about an average rank of 77,000. We can see that last year products sold until the end of the year. And then really the reason why it stopped selling was because it went totally out of stock for months. And we can see that down here, there's no offers. So the product would have probably kept selling if there was able to maintain stock. And this is actually a value pitch to the brand, right? You know, to be able to carry stock year round, because look, they're losing a lot of sales on Amazon. So we jump back to our product analysis sheet, and we said that our average sales rank is about 77,000 in arts, and that ranges. What kind of sales per month is that? So Keepa tells us, you know, it's about 100 plus sales per month. Amazon says 100 plus. I like to go to the Jungle Scout sales estimator. So I'm going to open that up in a new tab. So I'm going to go to Jungle Scout's free sales estimator here, and I'm going to select the United States. Our product category is arts, and this is a 77,000 rank, which tells me that about 60 units per month. Now, Amazon says it's moving over 100 units per month, which I do believe to be accurate because we can see here that the sales volume has increased. We estimated it at a 77,000 rank. This chart is showing a 23,000 rank. So I think 77,000 is definitely conservative, but we can go on the side of caution and say that it's only going to sell 60 units per month. Now, if we were to sell $8 per unit profit, times 60 is going to be $530 monthly profit. Now, we're not the only seller on the listing, so we actually have to get our share, our sales, right? And we do that by getting a rough idea of how many sellers we're going to be competing against and seeing who is rotating in and out of the buy box. So we can go to Keepa and go over to the data tab. If you guys haven't seen my Keepa video, it's linked here in the description for you guys to check out. We're going to click buy box statistics, and from here we're going to see the distribution of sales volume accordingly, right? So this is not something that's set in stone, but it's to give you an idea of what we're going to get a sales volume on for this product listing when we're comparing our selling account, to competing with some of these other sellers. So I'm going to look at 7 offers, and I'm going to just see who is and who is not competitive. Competitive. I would say they're pretty close to being competitive. So right now, there's 4 other competitive sellers. So I think it's pretty fair to say that I'll get a fifth of the sales. And bear in mind, we already underestimated the sales. So if we increase this to 100, it's going to change all our numbers. So let's say we're going to be the 5th seller on the listing divided by 5. So we're making $100 a month, right? If this went up to 150 units it's selling right now, well, now we're making $265 per month. And we can play with these numbers, right? So this is our overall estimate before we have, made a purchase. And guys, you might be thinking only $100 per month, that's not that great. Well, number one, this is not their only product that the brand carries. Number 2, our sales per month is super conservative at 60. I do believe it's going to sell more than that if this product is stocked throughout the entirety of the year. What else? The Amazon sellers we said we were competing against was 5. I think that's fair. But the other thing we haven't talked about, which was what we mentioned in the outreach section of this video, is how do we convince this brand into an exclusive agreement, right? Because now instead of our monthly profit only being a fifth, our monthly profit would now be the entire monthly profit, right? So that's the biggest thing with exclusives, guys. And that's why I advocate so much for brand direct exclusives, because not only can you make a lot more money from a sales volume perspective, because now you're getting all the sales to yourself, but you can also incrementally raise the retail price on Amazon. So let's say, we went back here and said, oh, well, maybe this product's actually going to sell well at $69. We just made so much more money because of this product estimate is priced at 53. Now, if you got the exclusive, you wouldn't want to jump from 53 to 69. You would slowly want to raise it so that the buy box does not get suppressed. But that's why brand direct exclusives are super profitable. And think about if you can multiply this over and over again, and that's what wholesale is all about. So now instead of making $100 per month, you're making a monthly profit of $530 per month, let's just say. And you do that 10 times, well, now you're making a monthly profit of $5,000 per month. So you can see how this scales and multiplies itself very quickly. The last thing I want to cover is that before you place your test order, which we'll talk about in just a moment, you will want to punch in the ASIN into your catalog in Amazon Seller Central. And I'm going to show you guys that in just a moment here. Now, the next thing that I will always do is I'll jump to my Amazon selling account here. And now from here, it's going to bring up the ASIN, and I will go ahead and click new, and I will press sell this product. Now, from here, I would actually list the product on Amazon. And we're going to do that because we're going to use this listing in the next segment where we actually ship this product into Amazon. One of the things, the formats that I will use with my team in my business is that I will actually set the cost first, so $24.50, followed by the item number, followed by the desired sell price. So we said 53, right? This allows me to, at an initial glance, see exactly what we paid for it, to know what the item number is, and to know what we plan to sell it for. This is very useful down the road when you go to reprice your items and sync your repricer with your Amazon selling account. So we're going to go ahead and list it above that price. We're actually going to want to list it at the, above what it's actually selling for on Amazon. So we can take a look at that, and it's selling for 69. Well, I'm going to list it for 71.95 because I don't want to be that one guy on the listing that jumps on the listing for $53, even though maybe we planned to sell it for 53. My inventory is not going to be available right when I send it into Amazon. So I'm going to price it at $71.95. I'm going to go ahead and hit new. And then from here, I'm going to make sure to select Amazon will ship and provide customer service. Definitely want to ignore these other components here because we don't sell in other marketplaces. It actually poses a compliance risk in my opinion. And you guys, if you're not familiar with what that compliance risk is, you can actually go ahead and watch my video on Amazon account deactivations, which I've linked up above. It goes into global sync and how to avoid issues with your account getting deactivated because of that. But for now, we leave all of this off. So we're going to select Amazon will ship and provide customer service, and then save and finish. And from here, it will now bring us to a page where it will prompt us to ship this product into Amazon. And that's what we're going to dive into subsequently in this video.
So we've gone through our first price list. Now we're ready to place an order. It's time to draft a purchase order to our wholesale supplier. So we said when we were doing our product analysis that the product sells anywhere between 100 and 150 units per month. This does not mean we're going to buy 100 units on our first order. Our first order is going to be a test order. And we said in our hypothetical example that there are 12 units in a case. So we're going to place a test order for 2 cases of 12, which is going to be a total of 24 units. I always recommend that a test order is placing an order anywhere between 20 and 30 units. This will give you a good gauge on product demand while at the same time mitigating risk. We can analyze a Keepa chart all day long, but the best reinforcement for making a larger purchase is actually seeing those sales come through our Amazon selling account. That is exactly why we place test orders. Before you send the purchase order to your wholesale supplier, there are a few questions you'll want to ask them first. Number 1, is there a minimum order quantity or MOQ? Number 2, is shipping added to our order? Is there a certain quantity that we can order to obtain free shipping? Number 3, can you ship directly to our fulfillment center if we send you prepaid shipping labels for the boxes? Note how I didn't say can you ship directly to Amazon? I use the words fulfillment center instead. Number 4, is there a specific quantity per case for this item or items? Number 5, How is this item or items packaged? Do they come in retail packaging or are they loosely packaged in the shipping box? So this question is only going to be necessary if you're shipping directly to Amazon. Number 6, is there a UPC barcode on the exterior of each unit? If so, what is this barcode number? And again, this question is only necessary if you're shipping directly to Amazon. And number 7, the last question you'll want to ask them is, can we pay by a credit card or ACH? And do you charge credit card processing fees? Now, once you have the answers to these questions, you're going to send off your purchase order to your supplier, and the supplier is either going to charge your credit card or you'll make an ACH payment. An ACH payment is just a next day wire transfer. The transaction will probably cost you only about a few cents, and depending on who you bank with, you might be charged a monthly service fee for ACH payments. In order to make an ACH payment, you'll need your supplier's routing number, account number, name of the bank, and the name on the bank account. I would recommend using a credit card if your supplier doesn't charge credit card processing fees. This is because you have 30 days to pay off a credit card, and you'll be able to start racking up credit card reward points and building business credit. Let's talk about net 30-day terms. Net 30-day terms is perhaps the most underrated way of scaling an Amazon wholesale business. This is because it shifts the burden of inventory from your books to your supplier's books. Net 30 days is a game changer because now instead of prepaying for your inventory, you now actually have 30 days to pay that invoice. I even have net 60 and net 90-day terms with some of my suppliers, which means that I have 60 or 90 days to pay an invoice. And then on top of that, some of those invoices I can actually pay with a credit card, which gives me an additional 30 days on top of that to cycle out the cash. If you have 90 days to pay an invoice and you're holding a 30-day supply, you can sell through your inventory 3 times over before you even have to outlay cash for the first invoice.
That's a game changer.
One thing that we have to understand is that we're not going to start out with net 30-day terms right away. Net 30-day terms is going to be a byproduct of the relationship that you build with your supplier. The best way to accumulate net 30-day terms is simply time and prepaying for your invoices. So if you're a brand new seller, you're probably not going to get net 30-day terms right away. It's going to take time. As you prepay for your invoices, your supplier will be more likely to give you net 30-day terms down the road as you've built up that relationship and shown them that you're paying your invoices on time. Then, when they do, you can use their reference along with others as you gain them on a credit application, which will help you build more business credit and secure net 30-day terms with more wholesale suppliers.
So one of the biggest questions that we get asked all the time is, do I need this place? Do I need a warehouse to start selling on Amazon? What does that look like for the beginner seller? Do they need a warehouse or
Yeah, I mean, it's such a common question, and people are looking at getting a warehouse, for legitimacy with suppliers. But the reality is that you do not need a warehouse to start selling on Amazon.
We definitely didn't have one.
I mean, for what?
Yeah.
3-4 years we didn't get a warehouse. It wasn't until we were just totally growing out of the house where we had to move into a warehouse.
And still doing 7 figures out of a house, you
right.
know? And
yeah.
You don't need all these extra things. And we always preach that is just focus on the basics. And I feel like a warehouse is one of those things that people think they have to get to that. I mean, even the size warehouse now is a lot smaller than I feel like people would expect.
Yeah, and a warehouse is cool, but it also comes with a lot more management. It comes with more overhead costs. So that's the thing is when you're first starting, I would say avoid a warehouse as long as you can, until you are absolutely growing out of your house, then it's time to move into the warehouse.
Yeah. Just as small amount of expense. Amazon gives us enough expenses already, just as small as amount of expenses as possible.
Yeah.
If you can minimize that, I feel like you're just going to grow and be able to reinvest your profits faster.
7 figures. You could do 7 figures in sales out of a house.
Maybe 8.
It's crazy.
Probably not.
Okay, so we've gotten our logistical questions answered. We've sent our first purchase order, paid our supplier, and our products have shipped. Let's jump into Seller Central so that we can learn how to ship our products into Amazon and start making money.
All right, everyone. So you have analyzed your product, you've placed a test order, and you've sent the PO to your wholesale supplier. You've shipped the products to your house or your warehouse, and you've paid your supplier. Now you've gotten the goods at your house. What's next? So this is the part That's awesome because you're going to ship your products into Amazon and then we can finally start making money. So I'm super excited to share this process with you. We're going to run through 2 examples today. We're going to run through a small parcel shipment, which is where you're shipping your units to Amazon in boxes through UPS. And we're going to cover an LTL shipment, which is less than truckload, meaning you're shipping a pallet or multiple pallets into Amazon's warehouse. If you're just starting out, you're probably not going to be using the LTL feature. That's for more advanced sellers doing a lot of volume. So I'm really going to focus this part of the video on shipping small parcel UPS, but we will touch on doing an LTL shipment. So we've added this item to our inventory, which we did in the previous step. And we're going to select the kind of barcodes we're going to use. So we can see here that the item is eligible for both manufacturer barcode and Amazon barcode. Now, we can use manufacturer barcode to save on labor and time. And if you were shipping from your supplier directly to Amazon, you probably would want to do that because otherwise you have to pay Amazon to apply those FNSKU labels, which is going to be expensive. They charge about 50 cents per FNSKU label, or your supplier is going to have to do it and they'll probably charge you a small fee. Now, the only drawback to using manufacturer barcode is it runs under something called commingled inventory. And what that means is that if I ship an item into Amazon and another seller ships the same item into Amazon, another seller on the listing, and we both are using the manufacturer barcode, let's say in a hypothetical example, that other seller has a unit that gets returned by a customer and Amazon puts it back on the shelf because they deemed it sellable again when in fact it wasn't. In that case, Amazon could potentially grab that customer's return and sell it on my behalf. So that's a small risk we run with manufacturer barcode. That being said, the volume that we're doing in our business far outweighs any small issues with commingled inventory that we may run into. So I would say if you're just starting out and you've already shipped the products to your house, take the extra step and do the Amazon barcodes. So that's another thing we'll do is if we ship the units to our warehouse anyway, and our employees are applying the labels to the units, then they're going to do that with a lot of products anyway. So, unless it's a super high prep process like, bubble wrap, poly bag, things like that, where we have to apply the Amazon barcode, if it is eligible for manufacturer barcode and we get a lot of units, thousands of units at our warehouse, we might actually use manufacturer barcode and save on labor. So there's pros and cons to each. I'm not going to get into all the details of each, but for your purposes, you usually want to default to the Amazon barcode unless you're again, shipping from your supplier directly to Amazon, and it makes more sense to use manufacturer barcode. So I'm going to go ahead and select Amazon barcode and tell Amazon that I'm going to apply the labels onto my products. From here, we're going to press list as FBA and send to Amazon because we are going to create a mock shipment into Amazon. So I'm going to go ahead and hit this, and it's going to bring me to the next page here. So it's the address that's already on your Amazon selling account, and that's what's going to default here. But like us, if you ship from many different wholesale suppliers directly to Amazon, you will have to change this ship from address by clicking ship from another address. And when you do that, you'll want to specify either the name of the business that you're working with, or you can put your name here and then the supplier's address. So we're shipping from our address, and now we have information here that we have to specify to Amazon. So in this particular example, we're going to say this is a case pack shipment because many times our suppliers will ship products in case packs to us and we'll just send them right back out in those case packs. Now, that's not always the case, but many times it is. We have preset packing dimensions with many of our suppliers because we ship directly to Amazon from their warehouses. So I'm going to select new packing template. Now, here we're going to label this with the item number. So it would actually be the item number, whatever the item number of the product is. And, let's say it's a case of 24. So let's say we're sending 12 units in a box and we said the item was about 3.6 pounds or so. So that would be about 42 pounds. So let's say we're shipping in a 12 by 18 by, 18 box. And let's say it's 44 pounds, right? So now we're going to select who's going to prep it. And this is a no prep needed item. If we were using manufacturer barcode, we would have already done that, but we've already said we're using Amazon barcode. And I'm going to go ahead and hit save. And now we have our pack out here, and I'm going to save that. I'm going to change this to what our pack out was. Now, if you needed to print FNSKU labels in Amazon Seller Central, you can go ahead and click this, print them to your Dymo printer or your Zebra printer, whatever thermal label printer you have. And again, guys, there's many different shipment softwares out there. There's Inventory Lab, there's Boxum, there's 2D Workflow. There's shipping softwares that you can use. We use Inventory Lab, but many times we are shipping right in Seller Central. Since they made the changes with the inbound placement, most of the time we'll ship in Amazon Seller Central and Inventory Lab only in certain scenarios. So this is exactly how we do the process at our warehouse. So I'm going to select how many boxes I'm shipping, and let's say it's 5 boxes, right? And the reason why I'm using the number 5 is because I want it to give me the option for Amazon optimized workflow, which is where we're shipping 5 boxes to 5 different locations. If I change this to 4 boxes at 48 units, it would not give me the option to go Amazon optimized. And we can see that because it says it right here. So we're going to go ahead and click ready to send. And now it's going to prompt us through the rest of the process. We're going to hit confirm and continue. And from here, we will now be able to see our 3 shipping options. So we'll go ahead and select each option and compare the cost of them. So let's say we're shipping this on Monday, and we can see that shipping small parcel. Now, we know that here because this is small parcel UPS versus LTL. Only to ship 60 units, it's not going to make sense to ship LTL. We already know that. If it's a large, massive shipment, which we'll go through in the next example, we will be able to see that LTL does make sense in a lot of cases. So we can see that if we're shipping to 5 different locations here, our total shipping cost is $99. Let's compare that with the partial method. So in the partial shipment option where we're shipping to 2 locations, we can see that if we take $19.20 and add it to $81.03, our total shipping cost is $100.23, which so far our optimized placement is just about $1 cheaper than that. Now, we'll also send it or test the send to 1 location. So we can see that our shipping cost UPS is $66.13. Add that to our placement fee of $22.20, and we get $88.33, making the minimal shipment split to 1 location cheapest in this scenario. We will scroll all the way down to the bottom here, click accept charges, and it will then generate our box labels, and we would print them and ship them into Amazon. And that is how to send a small parcel shipment through Amazon Seller Central. Now, if you were sending an LTL shipment, let's take a look at that. Now, I'm going to increase the quantity substantially just because I'm going to try to get the volume to make sense to send LTL. So let's say instead of sending 5 boxes, we're sending 50. Now we're sending 600 units, and obviously this is not going to make sense because the item only sells maybe 100 to 150 units per month, which we explored in the previous example. But let's say we're sending 600 units. We're going to hit ready to send, and now I guarantee you that the LTL shipment option, or at least I am predicting that the LTL shipment option is going to be cheaper because we're sending so much weight in the shipment. And we'll let this populate for a moment and we will find out. So we will still assess the 3 options in the optimized workflow, which is populating here in just a moment. It will cost $1,070.12 to ship this into Amazon. Partial, it's now going to cost $803 plus $192. And my prediction is that this is going to be the cheapest. And that looks like is in fact the case. Because you're sending heavy items, these are 3.5, almost 4 pounds per item. It's going to 1 location is probably going to be cheapest because you're shipping heavier items to 1 location instead of 5 over here. So this would cost over $1,000. This would cost about $1,009.95. And this would cost $568.11 plus $222. Our placement fee is $790. So quite substantially cheaper. Now, if we wanted to ship this LTL though, and that's why I did this example, it's actually only going to cost $403. And this is an estimate before the weight of the pallet, but we can estimate that it's going to cost $403.68 plus $222. And that right there is economies of scale because as you send in more volume into Amazon, and this could be mixed SKUs, it could be many different SKUs. We're just using 1 item as an example. As you send in more volume to Amazon, your shipping cost substantially goes down as you send a freight shipment in. So They are estimating here 4 pallets with a total weight of 2,200 pounds. This is the actual scenario before the weight of the pallet. So we just have to add on the weight of the pallet, which we will do once we confirm the shipping destinations here. And when we do that, the pallet weight is usually going to weigh maybe 40 pounds or so. So, depending on how many pallets you're shipping, you would just add that weight on. And then, of course, you'd have to get the height of the pallet. And we're going to run through a quick example of this right now. So from here, I'm going to go ahead and hit confirm shipping destinations. Now, there's just another step that you have to take with an LTL shipment. As opposed to just printing the UPS labels and the Amazon box labels in the one step that we just did before, you're now actually going to have to apply the box labels to each box in that shipment. So from here, what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and download this in a 4x6 thermal printer and then press print. This is going to print right to our Rollo printer. And from here, we will apply these box labels to the boxes. Now, if you're sending one pallet of all the same SKU, it doesn't matter how you apply those labels to the boxes. You can just apply them to any of the boxes because the labels are not in any sort of sequential order. Now, from here, we're going to print those, apply into the boxes, and then we're going to hit continue to carrier and pallet information. And from here, this is where we add the contact information. You're going to hit add contact, and then you're going to put the name and the phone number and the email address of the person I contact, which is going to be you. If you're shipping it from your supplier directly to Amazon, it's going to be your supplier so that the trucking company can contact them and they will get the bill of lading directly. The bill of lading is a document that the driver that is picking up the shipment will sign and confirm they've picked it up. They will mark it with their tracking number, and the bill of lading is proof that the shipment has been picked up to Amazon. Now, we're going to add that information and go ahead and proceed with the next step. So now is where we would determine how many pallets we're shipping this on. So we said we're shipping a total of 50 boxes, and let's just say for simplistic purposes, we're sending 25 boxes on one pallet and 25 boxes on the other. So we specified earlier on that one box weighs 44 pounds approximately. So you're actually going to want to get the actual weight of that box, and you're going to weigh the box and punch it into Seller Central. We said it's 44 pounds. So 44 pounds times 25 boxes we said we're going to ship on one pallet is going to be 1,100 pounds. So I'm going to specify 1,100 pounds to Amazon, and let's say the height of the pallet is 60 inches. I'm just making up a number. Now notice how it does not ask me for anything with the length or width of the pallet. And the reason for that is because all lengths and widths of the pallet have to be standard, 48 inches by 40. So if your pallet does not measure that size, you're going to want to get a new pallet to put those boxes on. Another quick note about the pallets and requirements to Amazon is that the pallet has to actually be an all-way pallet, meaning that the forklift can access its legs through the pallet on all four sides. Last requirement for shipping a pallet into Amazon is the height. We want that height to be no more than 72 inches because that's the clearance of a tractor trailer. Now we're going to go ahead and say we're shipping two identical pallets at 1,100 pounds each, 60-inch height. We're going to tell Amazon that they are not stackable pallets, and we're going to change this to one because we're shipping a total of two pallets. And this you don't have to touch. It will automatically select the freight class, so you don't have to worry about any of that. And then you're going to go ahead and click confirm. Now, I'm not going to do this because it's going to buy the shipping, and then I'm going to have to delete the charges off our account. But what you would do here is you would hit confirm. You would select the freight ready date, and then you would print the pallet labels. The pallet labels would then be printed from your Rollo printer or your Zebra printer. And after the box labels have been applied to all the boxes and you and your team have wrapped up that pallet, you're now going to put one pallet label on each of the four sides of the pallet. So it's going to print 4 pallet labels. And that right there is how you send an LTL shipment into Amazon. I will be coming out with a more detailed video on how to send a shipment LTL into Amazon, where I'm going to show you exactly how to not just ship in Amazon Seller Central, but I'm going to show you how to physically ship the goods via pallet to Amazon. And we're going to go through a live example of a real shipment that we are doing in our business. So stay tuned for that video. But for now, This is how you send both a small parcel shipment and an LTL shipment into Amazon. Hope that was helpful. And now we are going to jump into the final step and my favorite part of the Amazon wholesale process, how to close brand direct exclusive agreements. Let's get to it.
So you've established a relationship with a few brands, you're currently buying products from them, but you're competing with several other Amazon resellers, 5, 10, maybe more. What's next? The final part of this video has been the largest catalyst for growth in my Amazon business. Let me share a story with you. About 2 years ago, I made a $40,000 purchase with a brand merely to become one of their resellers. I know that seems like a lot of money, and it was. I was scared, but because of all the things that you and I talked about in this video, I was confident in the decision that I made. The reason I made this purchase is because I had several conversations with the brand months leading up to working with them. They liked the value that I had to offer them, but they really started taking me seriously when I became one of their customers. Next was timing, and sometimes that's the biggest thing. To give you an example, my business partner Brandon and I have reached out to the same company 6 months apart and have gotten totally different results. With this one though, I hit the nail on the head when it came to timing. The brand was in pain from the existing state of their Amazon presence. Less than a year later, we signed an exclusive agreement. This exclusive agreement is one of our most profitable wholesale accounts. With a brand exclusive agreement, we don't have to deal with all the problems that come with selling alongside a bunch of other resellers. The accounts are more profitable, more secure, and quite frankly, they are way more fun than regular wholesale. And because of this, brands don't just hand out exclusive agreements. You have to know how to get them. Let's break it down step by step. There are multiple factors that go into closing an exclusive agreement with a brand, not all of which are in your control. Let's review some potential factors. Length of time working with the brand, overall timing, the brand's receptiveness and willingness to hear new ideas, other resellers and the brand's relationship history with them, current state of the brand's listings and presence on Amazon, and there are many more. Your two biggest assets in closing an exclusive agreement with a brand are 1, emotional intelligence, particularly empathy and knowing when to let the line out and give the brand space, but also knowing when to reel the line in and be more aggressive. Number 2, your ability to build a relationship with the brand over time. Notice how I didn't say money or listing optimization or Amazon ads. That's because those things are less important than building a relationship with the brand and understanding their concerns. Here are 3 steps that we can take to close our first brand direct exclusive. First, analyze the listings and the brand's presence on Amazon. What do the brand's images look like on their Amazon listing? Is the number of sellers out of control, creating price wars? Are competitors or even knockoffs running advertisements on the brand's listings? Is their brand registered on Amazon? All of these different factors are what is going to prompt you to initiate a further conversation with the brand. If the answer is yes to any one or multiple of these factors, here's what we are going to say. Assuming you have several purchases under your belt and you've been working with the brand for at least a few months, you're going to send them an email in the same email that you're sending a purchase order to the brand. Ideally, this email is going to go to either the brand owner or an executive decision maker at the company. The topic of this email is going to read new order plus opportunity to increase sales and brand presence. Hi, Jeff. Please see the new purchase order attached. Also, I have some ideas for how we can increase sales and brand presence on the Amazon platform and e-commerce as a whole. Would you be available for a brief 10-minute phone conversation this week? If so, please let me know a day and time that works for you. Notice how I used a timestamp in requesting the call. This is because once you have them on the phone for 10 minutes, you can likely have them on the phone for an hour. If you already have a good working relationship with the brand and you tell them that you're going to increase sales, they're going to be all over it. When you're on the phone with them, again, open the conversation the same way we always have. Start with a calibrated question so that we can gauge them and get them warmed up and talking. From here, we're going to give them value and actual, real ways to increase their sales and brand presence on Amazon. Here are 3 value propositions that you can give the brand. Number 1, listing optimization. Listing optimization increases product sales and makes the brand's products more aesthetically appealing to customers that are shopping. This is because with listing optimization, we are improving the brand's imagery, adding A+ content, which is lifestyle photography and interactive graphics to help engage with the customers more. With listing optimization, we can also add in keywords into the title and bullet points, which are going to allow for maximum visibility and conversions when customers shop for their products. Number 2, Amazon pay-per-click advertising, or PPC. This is a way to increase sales and digital real estate through paid promotion. Number 3, Amazon brand registry, which is a way of securing and protecting your brand on Amazon. A common question that I hear from new sellers is that, what if I don't know how to run Amazon ads or optimize a listing? This is okay. The focus should be to present this information to a brand in a logical and seamless way that makes sense for their business. You can worry about actually implementing it and executing it later. The focus should be the pitch to the brand and converting that brand into your pipeline. There are tons of experts in listing optimization and Amazon ads on Fiverr, which is something that I do in my business. I outsource a lot of this, and we have a few members of our team that work on these things in-house. But when you're just starting out, focus on the pitch and understanding how to present the information, and then later on, you can either learn it yourself or outsource it to an expert. Remember, sell the vision, not the value. Once we touch on one or multiple of these value propositions, there's going to be a pause, and everyone might be silent for a few moments, thinking, what's next? This is an important moment. Let the silence be. Let them soak in everything you just gave them. Now, you're going to position yourself for exclusivity as a means of payment, not making it the focus. Check this out.
That makes sense.
Right, yeah, it makes perfect sense. And that's the thing, Mike, is what we're looking to do is really take a vested interest in the brand. And we do that by, like I said, reinvesting some of our profits to focus on some more marketing-driven efforts. So, let me just ask you, based on everything I shared with you, in lieu of the fact that we don't, really charge services or anything, you might be wondering, well, how do we get paid, right? How do we really maintain that vested interest? Well, to be honest with you, full transparency, a lot of what the agreements that we work in are exclusive pertaining to the Amazon only, meaning, we would be the only seller on Amazon, not, that doesn't apply to any other platforms, Amazon only, where we would be the only seller of the product line. And what that allows for is it allows the partnership to be more robust. It allows us to reinvest more back into your business in order to help it grow. The biggest thing throughout this call is my tonality. If we articulate ourselves the right way with the brand, we are going to have success. We have to approach these conversations with empathy, selflessness, and a lack of expectation. Give, give, give. It will come back to you in the long run. Brands want to work with people. Behind every brand is a person just like you and I. Be yourself, and I promise you, it will go much farther than trying to be someone you're not. There you have it, Amazon Wholesale. I hope you found value in this video. Amazon Wholesale changed my life, and I truly believe it can change yours too. The best time to start was yesterday, but the second best time to start is now. So take this information and execute. Peace.